Dubai real estate is full of agents who are very busy but broke. And if you're already one of them and you are calling, chasing landlords and buyers, you're posting on social media, but the money that you envisioned when you came to Dubai and become a real estate agent are still just a vision, then it's not luck, it's not even your leads, it's your processes and sales skills. If you feel that each and every client is not serious, if you are hearing from them, I'm going to get back to you, just send me some option on the WhatsApp. If you are not able to book the actual meeting or the video meeting with the leads that the company is giving you, this training might be for you. And finally, you will find the answer. What's wrong with these people? Or a different one. What exactly I am doing to creating the outcome that I'm receiving? And in this training, I will show you why clients behave that way, how to influence their decision without sounding pushy, and how to control the process so you can lead the client step by step towards their actual deal, and for you to finally make money. And one more thing, if you feel like you know all of the areas, the floor plans, the different payment plan for the developers, and you know pros and cons on each and every building of Dubai, you create great in, calculating different ROIs and rental yield, and you even know the difference between these two, but you are still not making money, it's just because you don't have yet right communication skills. And your conversation with the client will never even reach the point where you can show to the client all of these amazing skills. And maybe that's why you're still stuck, and you being stuck means you being unpaid for the deals that you never closed. And if you are the one who is still from outside looking in and maybe Googling how to become a Dubai real estate agent, this training gonna give you the structure and the knowledge each and every agent who is already in Dubai would wish to have in the beginning of their career. If you just stumble of this video, my name is Olga Sinenko. I'm real estate sales coach here in Dubai with my own sales experience. I've been here for 11 years, and I started just like you, being an agent myself, then I transitioned into the sales manager. But what's the most important, in the beginning, no one coached me, no one trained me. I was terrified on cold calls. My English was not that great. It might not be the best even now, but I couldn't understand what, for example, British people or Indian people are telling me. And then I had no idea how Dubai real estate market is different from the real estate market that I used to work. But instead of pretending that I'm naturally confident, I put myself into the learning, and just over the past 4 years, I invested in my own sales and marketing skills. This is what I call the high income skills, around $40,000. And here I usually ask, if you're in my training offline, I usually ask, okay, and how much money have you invested yourself, maybe last year, because I'm recording in December 2025.
How much money have you invested yourself into developing your high income skills?
And if you're already making just as much as you want, then well done. If you haven't invested anything and you're just naturally talented, well, I salute to you. But if the amount of money that you're currently making is not enough, you have to understand that this is exactly the representation of your current level of sales skills and understanding of the sales process. And of course, we're going to dig into the human, or let's make it more appealing, client behavior and why they are rejecting you, and what you have to do with yourself, with your communication skills instead to actually got that, yes, I'm buying in the end. So my sales god is, I always going to be calling him until I will find the next one, is Jeremy Miner. I was in his private coaching in a circle program, which costed me $15,000 on its own for 1.5 years. And his neuro-emotional persuasion technique, his ability to question people with the right tone in the right time and ask them something that's gonna open them up and help them discover for themselves what do they want. And then, surprise, surprise, if you will get those skills right, you do not have ever to sell them anything. You just have to ask them the right questions. So they are answering this question from their own mouth to their own ears, going to tell themselves everything that you wanted to pitch. And I'm usually asked, in this point of time, being a salesperson, being conditioned to only ask for yes, to influence in terms of you making money, whom do you think these people, your client, will believe? Do you think they will believe to you, someone they met maybe an hour ago or maybe a couple of days? Or will they believe to themselves? So if you feel that they will better believe themselves, the same as you do, right? This training definitely going to put you on a different level and understanding which questions, how and why you need to ask. You have to wait till the end, because in the end, I'm going to give the exact structure for the secondary market when you're trying to get listings from the landlords, and for the offline, when you have those first conversations with the client where you actually need to book a meeting with them. So what exactly you need to say and how you should sound to get to the next step and then finally close them. Some of my private coaching clients who actually master the skill, they got up to 1 million in their own commission just in 4 months. Well, I'm going to be talking about this because that's the best results ever. And this specific agent was on the market for 2 years prior, barely making any money. But basically, she gave up in herself and her ability to actually close Dubai real estate. So she came to me almost like, if that's not going to work, I am quitting, I'm shifting the industry, I'm changing the country, I'm leaving. And I'm not saying I make magic, it's 50-50, right? But as soon as she understood what she's doing, not like even understood, but like you feel it. In the first month, she closed around 250,000 in her own commission, just in 1 month. Like it's like a snowballing effect. And then the 4 months after was just consistent closing. With the first year, she actually finished with 1,625,000. That's kind of a life-changing money. At this point, she already opened her own real estate company, and surprise, surprise, she's still in the coaching with me. You know why? Because now she needs a skill on how to build a team, how to create an offer, and how to coach and train her own team so they're going to have the same level of skills as her. But why would you be interested in that? Let's jump to the training. Okay, so let's start with the basic. What your clients are currently telling you. And I'm just going to take a wild guess. I'm just looking. I will buy, but not now. Oh, just send me some options. I'm working with other agents. Or I'm not selling altogether. I will wait to list this one. Yeah, I'm not going to list now. I will wait. Let's see. I'm going to give you a pocket listing. Something along that line. How do I know that? That knowledge comes from the strategy sessions where the agents are coming to me with all of these questions and they don't know what to do. They feel stuck and feels like all of this is something that you never will able to overcome. And yeah, probably on your own is going to be hard. However, those who took a step and kind of ask a right person, I don't want to say it's me, in 3 to 4 weeks, they're closing the first deal. And if we will calculate the overall return on investment, meaning they invest in themselves and then they get return, which is, to be honest, way higher than any other investment you can possibly make. So the return on investment when they're closing a deal which brings them, let's say 50, 60,000 in one go is around 6, sometimes 7,000%. So if you are thinking that you're going to close the deal first and I need more money and then I'm going to go and acquire this skill so I will be able to overcome all of this, ask yourself, is that you do not have money is a problem or a consequence of the problem? Meaning the reason, the actual problem is you do not have skills. So if you're not going to learn skills which are needed for you to overcome all of this and finally close the deal, how you will ever make money? Anyway, jumping to the next one. That's an interesting part to understand. New era of clients. So maybe your manager is still telling you, You have to push, you have to convince, you have to explain to the client, and then you're trying to do so, and these clients are just ghosting you. It's because for quite a while, I would say for almost like 10/5 years, depending on which region we are talking about, because of the change in how we consume the information, the availability of information, we are in the new era of buyers and sellers. In other words, clients. What does it mean? Before, you as a salesperson were the only one source of information for your potential buyer. So the company which provides some product or the company which is doing some service, going to educate you to be that one presenter who's going to tell to potential clients what you can do, how you can help them, what the product looks like, and all of this marketing effort. Now, in this current day and age, your client, with a click of the button, can literally know way more than you. And with the artificial intelligence, oh my God, even those who were not that active with internet, they're now full on with AI. And they get all of the information, which sometimes might be wrong. However, they don't know about this. So if for those type of people, you're going to apply the techniques which pushes them, convincing them, you have to add on an important piece of knowledge. For the past, I would say 40 years, starting from Jordan Belfort, yeah, that's fancy guy who still selling his sales training. You've seen him represented by Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of the Wall Street. Because of guys like him who've been pushing, convincing, simply lying on the phone, all of us are traumatized. Each and every person, starting from, I don't know, being at the age of 21 even, purchased something that was a big regret, that was sore disappointment, that he understood that this is actually a scam. So that's why we are very much conditioned against this type of sales and this type of behavior. I'm not saying it doesn't work completely. I mean, anything works if you do enough of anything. It just depends on you, how much work you want to do till you find someone who's going to be, like a bad type personality, going to be convinced and just going to, okay, then I'm going to buy that, and doesn't know how to get to the internet and check your information. The reality is that if you're going to keep pushing, if you're going to keep convincing, and if your voice and the tone and the body language going to communicate to them that you are exactly the same as other salespeople in their life who gave them not the best, I'm not saying not the best, the worst experience of them buying something from them, an educated purchase or something that didn't work, you're not going to be able to make as much money as you actually wanted, because you're coming in Dubai and you're starting here in real estate, which is commission-only environment, right? For those who, let's say, not yet in Dubai, that just heard what does commission-only environment means.
You have no salary, no, zero, zip, nada, no salary.
And the only way for you to generate money is for you to actually close the deal, then wait for the commission to be processed, and then get that money. So what that means, if you're closing one deal in, let's say, 3-4 months, and this deal hopefully going to be some one-bedroom apartment around 2 million, which been sold with, let's say, 6% commission from the developer, you're going to get somewhere around 60,000, depending, of course, on your split with your real estate company. So the 60,000, if you spread them on 4 months, if for someone it's going to be, oh man, my God, it's fantastic money. Is this the actual money that you came to Dubai for? You risk everything. You're just building your career, hoping that this market gonna stick. We're gonna have more buyers. The price is gonna coming up. What about the time when the market gonna turn? When they're gonna less buyers? When the correction gonna start? The same has happened in US. There are so many real estate agents who are out of the market because they were not able to sell, right? So for you to understand how to deal with a new era of clients, how to become someone who instantly scale the trust, not by you saying stuff, by you asking the right questions and understanding how to move them through decision-making process, and how even decision-making process in the head of this client look like. Well, as I'm saying, you have to watch till the end of this training. And I'm going to jump to the next section. Other concept, which is one of the most important ones is the decision-making funnel. Every time I show it on my trainings and I'm asking, have you seen ever the funnel representation of anything? I hear like, no? Oh, maybe you've seen. So usually we have a sales funnel. So the lead are coming from lead generating machine, and then they're going through the process, and then they're buying in the end. That's kind of similar process, but I want you to understand what are the current actual client journey in Dubai real estate. For the ease of it, I'm going to take the example of someone who is interested to invest, which is literally probably 80% of the clients, who is potentially looking for offline or ready property. So we're going to take the buyer decision-making funnel. When I hear that the agents are telling me, well, the client is not serious, he's not ready to buy, what they're actually referring to is that they, here we go. They call the client and they say, hi, Mr. Client, are you interested to invest in Dubai real estate? And the client told them no. So, which is normal, because realistically, what the client is interested in is just to have more information. So you have to understand that there are different types of clients. However, they all fall into the same decision-making process funnel. So if there is someone who is looking to invest, and he's living overseas, he's seen a lot of information, potentially maybe some of his relatives purchasing and they spoke about that, it doesn't mean that immediately he's going to be interested to buy. Everything in your life, including all of the decisions you make that are triggered or even created, the need of you to make decision created by the problem. So if there is no problem that you are trying to solve, like you are an investor, but your money is making so much money and you keep investing in whatever asset that you select and you have no interest or idea to diversify or reinvest, you will never click a button and request more information. You will never do that. Why? Because if you have no problem, you will not be able even to see those ads. I'm always giving an example of, let's imagine, I don't have dogs or cats. You can show me a various promotion of dog and cat foods, I don't know, trimming of dogs. I'm not going to click on it. Why? Because I don't have this problem. Simply, I do not have it. But as soon as you yourself, you remember, you were making decision to buy a car, and a certain model or a certain color, and then randomly, oh my God, on the streets, you start seeing how many of these cars are actually the same model and the same color. Oh my God. It seems like the universe is manifesting that I have to buy this. No, this is what your attention is doing to you. This is called determination of your attention. So if you have a problem, you unconsciously start looking for a solution. And that's why you see all of the solution. They just basically, your brain is scanning it and giving it to you. So if someone start thinking, I'm not quite happy with the way my money working now, or what's going to happen if I'm going to lose my job and I don't have any additional passive income coming in? Or, oh my God, I want to retire earlier, like Jack, for example. What should I do to retire earlier? So all of this is actually the problems, is the found problem piece that is important as a trigger for a human to start looking for solution. So for example, he found the problem. But this guy who wants to retire early, he had an idea to retire early for maybe 5 years, but he hadn't done anything towards that. Maybe he was searching, maybe he was looking, maybe getting some books about how to make money, financial freedom, how to start your own business, or maybe he was trying something different, but it didn't work. And then it was a day that, for example, his uncle got an accident and he started thinking, Jesus Christ, what's going to happen? If I'm going to be in his shoes and I will lose my ability to work, I'm not going to be able to provide for my family. So that potentially can cause me to lose all of my wealth, which I generated, because I will have to take from my savings. So this is the next stage when the problem triggered. The clients can come to you on the different stages. They can come when they are just found the problem and they're comparing different solutions, or they can come to you where the problem actually triggered And now they're really looking for it. So when they're looking for several solutions, it doesn't mean that they automatically will come to Dubai real estate as one. They can go through all the different options. Like, for example, I need to maybe start my own business, or I need to invest in my uncle pizzeria, or maybe I should buy property in London, maybe in US, or maybe I should buy, I don't know, piece of land if he's in Pakistan. Like, all of these different solutions doesn't mean that that's a property in Dubai yet. He's comparing solution. And then you move him closer to the funnel. So the problem is, I'm not going to go deep into that piece because that's going to take a little bit longer time. And that's what I do in my courses, in my online academy. However, even here, if you get the client on this level, this is what you do. You have to handhold him from the process, because guess what? If the problem is triggered and you just ask him, are you ready to buy? Or start sending him some WhatsApp, some offers, some projects. Okay, so he's more confused. He hasn't yet even decided that Dubai real estate is the right thing for him, right? Because he's comparing pizzeria, my uncle's business, open a petrol pump, and you are expecting him to make decision. Would he buy this 1-bedroom in Maritime City because it's such a great investment and you're promising him? He has no yet idea about this. So the main problem your leads are falling off here is that you believe when they're telling you that I know Dubai real estate market, I understand things. I just want 1-bedroom apartment with this payment plan and this budget. In reality, they do not. And that's exactly what represents when they stop responding to you, because they're not able to compare, they're not able to decide, they don't have yet enough knowledge. And what is most important, hundreds of agents are calling them, giving them different information. So they're simply afraid of making their own decisions because they do not believe in their own ability to make a right one. Why? Because they don't have in their mind a step-by-step decomposition of how they're actually going to make money. And this is exactly what you have to give them. That's exactly what I teach in my online academy, how to help the client to get from fear to clarity and ability to believe in his own knowledge, because this is the only way for him to say yes, because he has to decide. Yeah? Jump into the next one. So, why 90% of people do not trust, by the way, including you, why 90% of people do not trust sales. And I'm going to click the buttons here because they are aggressive. They're desperate because they just want to make money. Needy, double desperate, Jesus Christ, because that's true. Specifically those agents who are starting in Dubai real estate without any proper structure, without any proper skills. They're running through the savings in the first 3 months, and then I need to pay my bills, I need to pay for my transportation, I need to eat, and I do not have any deals in the pipeline. That's a kind of, as I call it, a lot of agents coming to me in my strategy session on the age of career suicide, that they tried as they think it all, it didn't work, and then, okay, so let's get some magic out, Olga. So hopefully I'm going to give you some magic here, so you don't have to be like one of them. Commission breath. This is my favorite one. That's not actually my terminology. What does that mean? When you are on the edge, when you run through your savings, when you just need to close this deal, the way you communicate, it's literally repels client. That's why I call it commission breath. Like you stink the desire to sell, because that's basically your, basic needs are not going to be met. And then potentially you will have to ask your mom and dad to buy you a ticket back home because you cannot survive here. Or maybe you have to go and get yourself a job in the mall so you can, for 6 hours from 9 to 12 p.m., by the way, you can get your ends meet, like the basic ones. And the next one, lower status. So when you are in this very dangerous combination of things, the lower status is the least one, because when you feel all of these emotions and you feel that this person, this client is the only one who can help you survive, you drop your status and he becomes an authority and you are someone who is begging him to work with you. And you know what? Maybe it will work in a different industry, but when someone putting on a table maybe the half or maybe full of his lifetime savings, the advice from whom will he take? From a desperate person who is completely needy, attached, spreading commission breath on him, or someone who is higher status? That's very interesting part, where I teach always to walk into any conversation with the client from their higher status. Because think normally about this. He has a problem, as we discussed before. You are potentially hold the solution. So who needs help? Him. Who is able to help is you. So who is having higher status? Someone who needs help or someone who is helping? But you have to communicate it in the right way. Like, for example, we're going to go in the end of this training, I'm going to go for all of this right phrases and the questions to ask. Instead of, hi, Mr. Client, you inquired about this property. How can I help you? Just give me information. Just send me the brochure on the WhatsApp. But if you're going to change the communication and be like, seems like you responded to one of the ads and asked us to call you back, possibly looking for help. See? You're possibly looking for help. So I'm conditioning my client to feel that he is the one who is looking for help. This is exactly what neuro-emotional persuasion does. It's unconditional conditioning through your verbal structure. That's why I'm always saying to my agents in my coaching, my scripts are based on right questions. You have to execute them with the right tone and with the right pace. You are not at that level of skills to change the script. And if you're saying something like what is in my script and it doesn't work, that's exactly because you are not repeating the word by word the questions as I created them. Because, imagine you are the brain surgeon and I'm teaching you how to do brain surgery. It's the first brain surgery in your whole life that you've ever seen. Like, you have to do exactly what I'm doing for so long to make it work for you. And then maybe you're going to start tweaking it based on your own unique personality. So fortunately or unfortunately, Leonardo DiCaprio, the guy who I mentioned before, I know, you know the guy. How do you know the guy, by the way? Because he's a very famous actor. But why he's a very famous actor? I don't know. Because he out-rehearses everyone. Because when he is performing, when he's playing the character, you do not see him, Leonardo DiCaprio is saying a good script. You feel, you believe that this is the character. So, I'm not sure about this moment of Ryan Serhan life, yeah? You know who Ryan Serhan is, but he actually started as an actor. He started as an actor, was not very successful, and then he transitioned into real estate. However, the skills that he learned as an actor is the main foundation why he's so successful in communicating with people, why he's able to, I don't want to say perform, but why he's able to be that person which is perceived as someone who can help me. Yeah? Okay. If you feel any of those emotions, what should I do, Olga? Well, you told me this is how I feel. You have to get yourself together and put yourself on a schedule that for 1 month you will, instead of drinking coffee with your colleagues, escaping the calls because you're so busy preparing the offers or scrolling through your WhatsApp, get yourself in the mode of generating new conversation with potential clients, whatever it will be, whatever it be, calls through your database, would be messages or emails or maybe face-to-face connections. But all of this is happening to you for one simple reason. You have not enough clients to deal with. When you have not enough clients to deal with, you are desperate to sell just to this one client. When you have a lot, your desperation goes down. So you can change it just by doing this one small trick. So let's go to the next stage. Another concept, which is, I would be saying, completely the crucial, the foundation, I don't know, they're all so important, is this. Oh my God, it's just a brick wall, right, Olga? What are you even talking about? That this brick wall You, as a salesperson, most often creating yourself between you and the client. Let's put it this way. It's not you creating this brick wall, it's the client creates this brick wall. And this brick wall I call a sales resistance. What is the sales resistance? What, Olga, are you talking about? They just, they don't want to buy, they don't want to be convinced, they're not serious, and all this blah, blah, blah bullshit. Don't want to go too deep into the basic human, I don't know, not even psychology, what is this? The psychics, right? You definitely heard about fight or flight response. This is our sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for you to be alive. So if the danger happens, for example, you drive in the car and then someone just like comes up from the left and from the right and just trespass you, and you're like, oh my God, you press the brake and you feel the adrenaline and endorphin and cortisol all runs through your vein. This is your fight or flight response. That's an immediate reaction of something that you perceive as a threat. Okay, again, for 35, 40 years, thanks to whom we created the stigma about the salespeople that they are a threat. And even if you're not crocodile or tiger who used to be a threat before, or maybe some kind of tribe from the other side of the river, you as a salesperson now consider a threat. Just by you behaving in a salesy way, just by you indicating to me, a client, that you are a salesperson, you unconditionally the same as like press the brake in my car when someone is ahead of me doing weird stuff. That's exactly what's happening with your client when he feels that you're a salesperson. He wants to protect him from sleazy, salesy, pushy salespeople who harmed him before, right? So the easiest way for you to discover how does it feels, because you have this, you do have a sales resistance. I guarantee you, every time you walk into any shop, right, in the mall, or this a nice boots with the perfume in Dubai, you will see them a lot in the malls, that they're giving you the perfume, that they're basically dragging you, just hoping you're going to buy something, and you say, oh no, I don't want it. Like as soon as you see that person and he's trying to catch your eye, you just look aside. Why? It's immediate reaction. It's not like you planned it. It's not like you've been sitting in the house, like drinking your coffee, and it's like, okay, today, if someone approached me in the shop, I'm going to do this. So what do I mean when I'm saying acting as every other salesperson? That's why I'm giving you all of the same example on my training. If you've been on them, you probably heard it. If you haven't, then here we go. You're going to have it. When you walk into any shop, whatever it is, Chanel, if you're a successful real estate agent, or H&M, if you're a very successful real estate agent, I mean, maybe not that much in H&M, but in Massimo Dutti, let's put it this way. The shopping assistant will come to you and will ask you, hi, how can I help you today, right? Only this one phrase immediately activates in you the sales resistance, and you, without even thinking, I'm just looking. And guess what? The same happens over the time with each and every person who is trying to find a real estate investment in Dubai. That's why they're all saying, just send me some options. I'm not looking to buy now. I'm just browsing around. I'm still searching for the better option. And like all of these phrases are actually the brick walls of sales resistance. So the fight or flight mode kicks in when we perceive a threat. When we perceive a threat, when we feel, and this is what exactly is happening between you as a salesperson and the client. Because of all of the build up experience, not you specifically, the other guys before you was trying to sell him something. The decision that he wants to make, he wants him to feel that it's his decision. But you as a salesperson who is now pushing, convincing, it feels for him that his own power to make his own decision is taken away. And that's why he resists. So the same as you, if you feel your mom or dad are telling you what to do, even if you deep down you know that they're actually right, what usually would you say? You have, by the way, usually you have no kind of idea about their bad intentions. No, they have the best interest of you in mind, but you still resist. Why? Because that's not your decision. So now you have to understand, and this is what my training is about, how to make them feel that this is their decision, how to keep them, I like this presentation, like the butterfly is sitting in your palm. She flew over here and she's just sitting here. Well, the natural kind of call is to, I want to capture it. But if you capture it, what's going to happen with this? It's not going to be butterfly anymore, right? So what you should do to do everything possible for the butterfly to stay here, maybe, allocate yourself and stay with you forever. And this is what persuasion and influence really is. Not pitching, convincing, but acting, being, and asking the right question. So the butterfly would decide on her own, right? That you as a real estate agent with your expertise and your product is the best partner in the deal. Yeah? Any questions on that? And before we go from this part, I'm going to give you what I've always given in my training. Instead of the shopping assistant or whatever, how do they call it even? I don't know. Instead of him asking the same over and over again, how can I help you today? With the neuroemotion persuasion twist, it would sound like, I know you're just looking. If things changed, I'm going to be down there in the female section. And then you wait for him to respond. And then you say, and by the way, do you know what you're possibly looking for? Neutral, possibly looking for. So what does it mean? With my first phrase, I remove his sales resistance. He knows that I'm not attacking him. And I took the word out of his mouth. That exactly the thing that he told, what he was expected from himself to tell me, I told him. You see? Yeah? So the next time, hear yourself. What are you saying to the client? And how what you saying is actually directly affecting his response. Let's move to the next one. Now we are on to the next concept, which is communication skills. Like, Olga, what about this concept? Like, I'm good with communication and we all write in our CV, I have a great communication skills, because we don't really understand what does it mean. The communication skills is not your ability to pass the information from point A to point B. It's an ability for you to communicate in a way that creates the outcome which is desirable for you and desirable for the client. Let me explain you. I recently got coaching client approaching me, and we went into the coaching relationship, and his main request was, I have this inbuilt belief against of sales, and now I have to sell, and I don't know how to do it. I think that the salespeople are salesy, sleazy, and like all of this is just evil, and now I have to jump being one of them, and I don't understand how to do that. Like, what I teach is not a magic wand, right? It's not like from no, I don't want to buy, I don't need this project, I don't have a problem even to solve. You're gonna create yes. That's not gonna happen. Not by me, not by anyone. That's just a lie. That's if there is a training like this and you believe that that's actually an obtainable skill, that you are maybe fooling yourself. And as many buyers and sellers in Dubai, they just getting from the agent what they want to hear. Big numbers of ROI and rental yield, and then they're very upset in a couple of years when there is zero. So what a communication skill actually is your ability to reflect on yourself while you're in communication and help the other person through your questions discover on his own why he needs this urgently, what's going to happen if he's not going to do anything about the problem, like if he's not going to invest now and he's not going to start building a passive income for his family, what's going to happen into 3-4 years from now when he still at the same spot, his money devaluating, and he still haven't created a safety net. What's going to happen then? So this is the communication skills of helping them discover for themselves. The best example of communication skills, I don't know, sometimes I'm using this huge figure in the world, Tony Robbins, and the agents in the room just like, who's this? And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So Tony Robbins is a big motivational speaker. So what he does on his events, which is a date with the destiny, it's a 3-day event, it's a big one, it just changes the life of people altogether. When someone stands up from the audience and he's coming with, oh, I have this problem, I have that problem, oh my God, it's just my life is horrible. How Tony Robbins changes his perception, the perception of this person in just 10 minutes, or maybe even less. This person stands up, I can do it. He's not telling him, even though he could, he has enough power and people are like fully trusting him. He's not telling him anything. He's asking him a right question. So the person discover through this question on his own. So the art of Tony Robbins is, instead of me pitching you and telling you, I will ask the question when your personal response on this question would be exactly what is needed for you and for me, right? You understand? Instead of, you convert your statements into questions. But it's not like you put a question mark after statement. This is a skill of framing a couple of questions so you, on your own, will get into the actual solution for your problem. Because I know what solution for your problem is because I'm a professional, but you don't. And if I'm going to tell you, you might not believe me. Again, because of the sales resistance, because of people telling us stuff, we just tend to not to believe. We believe what we are from the mouth to the ears, telling to ourselves. So, saying this, the actual communication skills is what to ask, how to ask it, and using the script, the tone of the voice, your body language, and your overall attitude. When I'm saying overall attitude, I'm talking about you being detached from the outcome. Meaning, whatever you choose, Mr. Client, whatever it will be to go ahead or not, I'm fine with this and I'm here to help. So when you are ready this and you ask the right questions with the right tone, you are closing the deals. And this is the main component of what I teach. I don't teach, RERA in my training. I don't teach like the how to put the deal together. Well, what happened after the first, you communicate with the landlord and then you send him this document. I do not teach this because it's basics. What I teach is the skill that's going to help you to actually start making money in Dubai real estate. So, let's jump to the next one. In this part of the training, I'm going to talk in details on how you will implement these skills in offline sales and secondary market sales, because these two markets are way different. And if you are not yet in Dubai real estate and you just theoretically thinking, okay, different, Olga, what do you mean? I prepared the whole new structure explanation for you so you will get the things in order in your brain. And if you're already working in Dubai real estate, probably you haven't yet, or maybe ever, had the decomposition of the main players in the market and a little bit better understanding where you are now and how your career progression could look like if you want to expand and, for example, move from secondary to offline, or if you're already in the offline market to start working with a developer. So here is the representation and the main players in Dubai secondary market. Let's start from the simple, from real estate agency. An average agency, let's put it this way, size of 20/30 people might not have such a distinguished kind of separation of the departments, but the bigger agencies and the bigger names, and I would say, I don't want to say them, but the British-owned and managed agencies would definitely have this structure. So in the agency, you typically have two different teams. One is focusing on secondary, another is focusing on offline. In secondary team, if you are joining, again, a really big agency, your first will be put in the department which is covering only rent. So you will be only busy with finding landlords and the tenants for an approximately 6 months. Then, when you got your confidence and understanding of the market, you will learn the area, then you will transition to sales. What does that mean? If during this period, with the 6 months, and the first, the second, the fourth month, you will have a landlord potentially considering selling his apartment, you then have to refer this landlord to someone who is working in the same area but in sales. You might have, and definitely will, a certain split of the commission with the agent who will close the deal. However, you will not be allowed to kind of get the full ownership and actually handle the listings and then the buyers that are doing the viewings, because as bigger companies, and I would say I kind of agree with that, they consider that you do not have yet been a newcomer in Dubai real estate skills and confidence to actually close a sales deal. Then on the sales, the same as in the rentals actually, if we're talking about secondary, your main task will be generating listings. What do I mean? If you're already in Dubai real estate, you know that the companies are not providing you the phone numbers of the property owners who requested to list the property with the company. It just doesn't happen in Dubai real estate market altogether. There is a lot of reasons why, but the main one, and again, it's more kind of triggering for those who do real estate in US, maybe UK, Australia, and let's say any other developed countries, well developed, with a like older real estate market. I'm not saying that we are not. The commission on the deal is paid by the seller. When we're talking about the secondary market in Dubai, the commission is paid by the buyer, or if we're talking about rentals, by the tenant. So that brings us to a very different, let's say, power exchange on the market. So the sellers, they do not need any certain agent to actually sell the property. In their mind, the more agents I will be working with, the better probability is it for me to sell my property. So there is no loyalty, there is no exclusivity. You being in secondary market, you can hunt the listings, you can bring the listing, you can convince the specific seller even to give you, because in Dubai is only three agents, they can list the property officially on the property portals. And saying this, I don't want to confuse you, but if we are talking about US or UK, you have there something like for sale by owner. In Dubai, you cannot do that. Like literally, if you are the owner, there is only one portal and it's just not really popular where you can put your property by yourself. Everything else, like Property Finder or Bayut, is only for the companies. The companies, the real estate agencies, those ones are buying the packages, and then they have a certain amount of, let's say, points or listings that they can put online. And hopefully, that's going to be one of yours. You as an agent do not pay anything for advertising your listing. However, as an owner, you have no other choices but to work with the agents who will advertise the listing. Now we're coming to the most interesting thing. There are around, I don't know, no one knows lately, maybe 60,000 agents. And each and every property owner on a daily basis probably receiving around 10, hopefully, maybe even 15 cold calls from other agents who are now looking to list his property. And he, again, only can list with 3 officially. So the same property is listed with 3 different agents. And your goal in the secondary market is to be one of them, because that's the only way for you to start generating buyer leads. Because the buyers, they go on the portals, they see you listing, they inquire, they call you or text you, and here you are, you have someone to work with. I'm going to repeat it one more time, if that was not clear from the beginning. Your company, not a big one, not a small one, will not hand you sellers with their listing who want to list with you. You have to go hunt and find them. And in UK, for example, the main source of the potential sellers and the listings is you're offering a free house inspections, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Or you offer the free property valuation. No one needs that in Dubai. Why? Because if we're talking about apartments, Everything is literally, typically copy-paste. All the buildings are more or less brand new. They have minimum upgrades because they come already with, sometimes fully fitted kitchen, with flooring, the wallpapers. You just have to, as soon as the property being handed over, you just have to put your sofa and the bed, and literally that's it. You have a built-up wardrobes. Sometimes, the AC system is there. So there is no need for me as a seller, look for your help to help me to evaluate how much my property worth. Because I, as an owner of the property, go online, again, property finder, or Bayut, and over there, I can clearly see that there is 5 or 6 units, the same as mine, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little lower. There is no difference. And I can see the prices. So based on that, I always would want to have a little bit higher than the markets. So this is the challenges that you will have as a secondary market agent. Further, in my next part of the training, I will help you with getting this initial push on the phone, what you have to say, how you should sound, to be the one whom the owner select to work with. So this is still coming. Over here, I just want you to understand that there is no ease with secondary. Now let's go to the off-plan. From outside looking in, it seems like, first, off-plan is you selling the stock of different developers. In Dubai, we do have probably more than 200 developers, from really big to really small, boutique. The first-time developers are someone who just decided to shift from the retail industry. Why wouldn't I become developer as well? I want to diversify my income. You will have a lot of developers who are ready to pay you as an agent quite a high commission for you to sell the property. So in the off-plan, you're getting paid by the seller, which is a developer, which is not like a physical person. It's not like me and my friend Ashley, we just decided to get the plot and build something on it, and then we're going to sell it. It's rarely this. So for you to be able to kind of enter, you should have an established company, you should submit a lot of documents, you should show to the Dubai Land Department to get the permission for even construction that you do have on your corporate account as a company enough money to complete the development. So it's not as easy potentially as you being developer and redeveloping the old villas in Portugal or Spain. So now off-plan. You are, as an off-plan agent, usually going to be dealing with developers who will pay you minimum of maybe 4% up to the 10. So from 4 to 10% going to be your commission on the sales price of the property. Oh, by the way, that's what I forgot. In secondary market, you will have 2% paid by the buyer. But usually, because we have so many agents, which is not mandatory, but it's usual kind of practice in the market, they're going to be an agent represented the seller, they're going to be an agent represented the buyer. Sometimes it's just going to be you, in both cases. Like, surprise, surprise, you finally got a direct client from you advertising your listing. If it's not, this 2% going to be split between two companies. And then within your own company, you're going to split it usually half. So you, in a secondary market, you're getting 0.5% of the amount of the transaction, the price of the property. In rent, you usually will have 5% of the yearly contract. It's rarely the two agents in the rental deal. It's just like a lot of desperation maybe, and you just dying to sell, or sorry, to rent this property. Then you're going to be working with the agent because the commission is going to be like really, really not that great. In an off-plan, 5% or 10% on some projects will be split half-half with your employer, with your agency. So that means the minimum you're going to get 2.5%. And the prices for off-plan properties are usually higher than the prices for secondary market. In the same area, you could have two buildings. One is just about to be completed, or construction just started, and next one maybe standing there for 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 years. The newer building, which is not completed yet, the price per square foot will be higher. And a good question to you, if you want to answer in the comments, why? Why do you think it is? Because it just doesn't make any sense, Olga. This building is already there. I can touch it. I can rent it immediately. This one going to take 2-3 years to deliver. It's a good question. So if you put it in the comments, I will answer it. So off plan, you are getting leads usually from the company. Seems like a fantastic opportunity, Olga. I'm just sitting down flat, waiting for the leads to come in, and if I will sell to this lead, I'm going to get 2.5%. It's a dream. So let's imagine you are selling something which worth 2 million, which is an average one-bedroom apartment. You're going to land in your pocket, if the commission is, let's say, whatever, 6%, you're going to land a little bit more than 60,000, around 70,000 dirhams, which is a good amount of money. I'm definitely going to translate it into pounds over here, but the thing with the off plan is that the leads that the company is generating for you are not coming from any reliable sources. They're not the same as in the secondary, where I am as a buyer, I need to move and I'm looking for the property because my tenancy is expiring and I have no other choices. I cannot just negotiate with my current owner saying, oh, you know, man, can I stay for a couple of more months? It doesn't work this way. So I really have a need to move. In off plan, I'm just curious. I'm just looking. All of those leads and the agents are coming into my training. The biggest concern they have, like, all of these leads are not serious. Why they submitted the inquiry? They're not buying. And that's true. They submit inquiry to understand a little bit more. The level of awareness and the need is dramatically lower. So that means for you that the conversion rate for you in secondary, for you in a plan, going to be different. Your conversation start and your ability to talk and show yourself like an expert. Understand what those who are looking to kind of start investing or maybe diversifying to buy real estate, what do they need and how you can solve the problem so they will feel, yes, this is an ideal solution. You remember, the problem that you solve is making you money. It's a very crucial part. And as usual, I'm going to talk about secondary and off-plan communication strategies as soon as I finish with this slide. So now let's move to another component of the market. Let me have a small break here. We are going to be talking about the developers. Developers, those big or small, you know them, Emar, Damak, and there is less famous. You literally just drive over the Sheikh Zayed Road and you can see new developers putting the boards. Jesus Christ, I never heard about this one, never heard about this project. It's all over the place now. It's so fancy to be a developer. Well, what the good things about the developers and you as an agent, or they call it relationship manager, working in a developer sales force. First of all, you being relationship manager doesn't mean that you manage anyone. It's just you. It's not a position of managing. But in a developer position, in the developer, you will get a salary. And as soon as I'm saying you will get a salary, a lot of you gonna feel so much excited, oh my God, I can get a salary. Yes, you can. And you can get anywhere from 8,000 dirhams, which is 2,000 euro, or calculated into pounds, up to 12, which is 3,000 euro. Surprise, surprise, such a big number. Yes, of course. But let me ask you this. Why would a developer pay you salary? And why anywhere in the sales job they will pay you salary? Because they will ask for your productivity, for your KPIs, and you're going to have them in a very, very determined and strict way. There are some developers who will give you an approximate target of 6 million to sell on a 6 million volume within the first month, because you are just fresh and new. And then from second to third, they're going to move it to 12. Some developers are going to give you higher numbers. It all depends on the ticket size of the developer. But what developer will not give you most of the time is leads. The developers, majority of them, they do not sell directly to the clients, and they don't want to have that hassle of chasing this one client, convincing him. They do have a limited stock available, right? Because when the clients are coming in, it's not like he wants to buy only with this developer most of the time. If we are not talking about, like, I don't know, Emar, for example. They're looking for options. They're considering different things. And in a developer sales force, you can only sell the project of this developer. You cannot just go on the market and do secondary. You cannot just go on the market and sell off-plan project of other developers. That's not possible. The developer have two usually, sometimes they don't even have two, just have one, departments, which is direct sales. I call it B2C, meaning there is a separate sales team who is potentially getting some leads from the social media marketing campaigns, and they expected to convert them to direct deals. And there is a big B2B or agency relation team that you are relationship manager, you are kind of relationship yourself with other agencies. Those guys are building the sales team outside. So they have to bring a lot of agencies as a channel partners. So those agencies, an agent in those agencies is going to sell their product. And this is how you're looking on a volume, not the, let's say, quality, right? Because if you will deal with a direct client, your deal can take anywhere from, let's say, 2 to 6, sometimes 12 months. Yeah, because the person is making decision, you are there, it's going to take you way longer. But if I am building the network of agencies and I have 5, 10, 15, 50 agencies, all of these agencies, they have agent, all of these agents are getting leads. So my probability of getting a deal or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 in a month is way higher. However, you working in a developer will not get the same commission for the closed deal as an agent working in the agency. That's no brainer. He will get, for example, 5%, and you as an agent from the developer side will get maybe 0.5/0.8, maybe 1. So for you to make the same amount of money as this guy, you will have to do 5 times more, right? So that's why over here, your main job is to go and recruit the agencies. And let me ask you this. If you talk about the bigger developers, do you know that each and every agency in Dubai already have someone who is in touch with them from Shoba, Damak, Hill, Imar, just name it. Do you? Aha, so you do. So you coming and working for, let's imagine Azizi, which been here for years and years and years, and everyone has someone in Azizi, you penetrating this relationship going to be really hard. So for you to build your network of the agencies is, I don't want to say impossible, but you have to become a really skilled and on a different level type of a relationship manager. When I train developer agents or relationship managers, my training is incorporated for them to become a bit of a sales trainers. Because over here, when you build a relationship with the agencies, your ability to get attraction and to make those agents in front of whom you're doing a presentation to contact you rather than the other guy they've been with for 2 years or what the agency gave them as a contact in the developer, you have to give them so much confidence that you will help them to close the deal. So how you can create, you're basically scaling their confidence in your ability to close for them, because that's exactly what they want. Because if they have the client who inquired, who has a certain budget, who is qualified, who is ready to go, on average, they will have 5 to 6 different developers, different projects within the developer that they can offer this client. So I am sitting in this seat. What I'm thinking of is whom will be able, out of all of these people that I know and all of these developers, who will be able to help me, who will be able to close this client with me. Because I don't want to be in the client and then I'm going to lose the deal because the developer agent is, not sure in his product, wobbly, doesn't pick up the phone, or maybe doesn't have any basic close skills. I'm going to maybe lose the deal once with this guy, and I'm going to make sure if that was him, and I think that that was him, I'm going to spread his reputation among everyone I know in my company and in other companies. So you have to be very careful with what you wish for, because being a developer agent, in my kind of ladder, you have to be an agent first. You have to be able to understand how to sell not only offline but secondary as well. And then if you want, you can progress to the developer. But you should already come into the developer sales force with a huge network of agents. You should have a lot of agents whom you can recruit to bring you deals. You, not the developer. Because there is other agents in the developer, you don't want them to bring deals to them. You're the one who's doing all the work, so the deals have to come to you. Now, master brokerage, why it's in the middle? Because I see it as some sort of in-between. This is a quite new contender on Dubai real estate. Let's say in my career in 2017, where I just joined Engel & Vorkels as a sales manager, they hired me to handle the first exclusive off-plan project that the agency got. Back then, 2017, 2018, it was just the beginning of the era where the smaller developers were kind of putting the numbers together, and they were just like, why would we put so much financial weight on our shoulders, starting the operations, bringing the sales team, starting the marketing, doing all of this just to sell maybe one or two projects that we have. What we can do, we can go to the bigger agencies, give them the exclusivity for whatever, 6 months. We're going to give them a marketing budget, and we want them to handle everything. They already have a sales team, so we're going to hire their sales team and the marketing team. So that's exactly what happened in 2017. Back then, there was no such a word in master brokerage. This started kind of fully developed, I would say, even probably after Corona, where the big real estate companies, they understood we wanted diversification. We have a lot of agents, we do have a lot of clients, we do have a database. So why wouldn't we offer the developers to be their outsourced sales centers? We're going to take the bigger percentage from them as a master brokerage. Then we, as a master brokerage and the sales center of the developer, we're going to act exactly like these guys, but we're going to be able to sell from our own agency network, and we're going to be able to sell from the agencies. So building the higher network. What's the difference between majority of master brokerages and the developer? First of all, master brokerage will have a various project in a various location with various developers. Those developers are usually small. Those developers are usually going to be first-time developers. And I don't want to say that as by default, but majority of these developers, they do not have enough of, financial power to execute or to become bigger developers yet. This potentially may cause them to have a smaller marketing budget, to delay construction, and to delay, don't tell me I've told you this, the commission payment, not only to you, and if you're going to be working here, but as well to outside partners. Yeah? For example, you created a network of your agencies being an agent in a master brokerage, and then the developer with whom they have a relationship decided, I don't want to pay commission. I want to delay commission, something happened to me. So it's not only you who are struggling in this case, your relationship with other agents who are waiting for the commission as well are struggling. And if this is happening, let me ask you this. What about the next project that your master brokerage is going to give you? You already destroyed the relationship with the other agencies. Will that be easy for you to sell or not? However, stay with me, and I'm not only going to talk about the bad things that the master brokerage, well, it's not bad, that's just the reality. So the combination of functions that you can have in master brokerage usually is that you can still sell your own clients or the clients we generated for you through other projects. You can still sell them other off-plan developers, not only the stock that you've got. Usually it's allowed. And then with the exclusive project, with the project that you actually allocated to be a sales team, you will have opportunity to still sell it direct and to build the network of agencies. So it seems like it's a better opportunity, this 360-degree real estate company. what if, Olga, the project successfully completed and now I'm not only having the relationship with my buyers, I'm becoming the seller agent because they know me, they're going to come back to me asking to sell the property, right? So if you're working in a developer sales force, if you're a relationship manager for the developer and you close a direct deal, in the developer sales force, you're not going to be able to help them to then rent their property or sell it. It's not allowed. You're only dealing with the fresh stock, and this is how you make money. This is like the cut of your responsibilities. The difference between the developer and master brokerage, besides you being able to do a lot of things, is that the master brokerage will not pay you a basic salary most of the time. But at the same time, the master brokerage might not be that rigid with asking you about your KPIs, right? Because bigger developers, I don't want to say the names, but usually they're hiring, firing based on, okay, you've been here for 3 months, you haven't completed the KPIs, you haven't brought the quantity of deals that we expect you, we're going to say you buy. And if you are not yet in Dubai real estate, you know how difficult it is with, employment visa being terminated and being able to find another company. Saying all of this, we have, again, 3 main players. Agency is a basic structure, deal with secondary and off-plan. Master brokerage, a bit of combination of all. They have off-plan division and they have exclusive project, and sometimes they do have still a secondary market going kind of on the backside. And a developer mainly going to be dealing with creating a channel partners selling through the agencies. As well, I call it pay-per-performance type of business. But the developer doesn't want to spend so much money up front to create a marketing campaign, and the agency will, but they're going to pay then out 5% when the deal is already in the pocket. And when I'm thinking about myself, what would be more beneficial for me? To just hope and pray, I'm spending this money so my agents are able to, pick up the phone, being confident, like being able to kind of move the client to the next stage, to the meeting, to then educational Zoom, to then the sales process. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking in the next minutes, what you have to do. Or I want to only pay when I am 100% sure that the money is in my pocket. Yeah, so hope that was clear. If it's not, you're more than welcome to drop the question in your comment section, and let's move to the next one. And we are in the secondary market sales process. Again, even if you're working in secondary market, I do not think that you ever been showed anything like this. I created this representation myself because I'm a big believer in your 1 million in commission as a result over the year is actually done by you creating a system, creating the communication component of that system. So you're going through the same process over and over again. You have a predictable income, predictable closing. You know what you're doing, you know what's the next step. So that's why I'm gonna now dig into this big, I don't know, is it too complicated? I think it's so simple. Anyway, in the secondary market of Dubai real estate, 90% of your work will be dedicated to lead generation. Hunting for listings. You're going to be on consistent hunt. When I was doing secondary market, and that was the first thing that I started with in 2015, I was dedicated to Marina area. Marina area is now very mature. Back then it was already kind of mature. So those sellers and landlords already had an existing relationship with agents. So for me to put my foot in and penetrate and get the lead for myself was quite difficult. So I've done it with the cold calling, and even now when the cold calling is legal, which was actually kind of semi-legal even back then, fortunately, unfortunately, the only way for you to generate listing is to have a voice communication at some point. This is the biggest fear of the agents because it creates a lot of rejection. It will, of course, because if you're calling and saying exactly same thing that each and every other agent already told him, and you remember, The average landlord or the seller is getting around 10 calls a day of annoying agents who are just there for their own commission, with the commission back, for desperation. Wouldn't you be annoyed? So that's why the communication strategy and the script that I will be giving you, and hopefully I'm going to attach the communication guide as well. Well, I will. In the description of this training, you will find it. You can download and start using it. So what that means is that the script that I will give you, and I will show you how to perform the script, is your, let's say, golden ticket into getting into the conversation, having the change of your conversion rate, if you're already trying to do a cold call, from the initial first yes to a good conversation. Might not be a listing yet because I cannot predict, is this person even on the market for selling his property? But having a good conversation and then created a database of owners will increase up to 50–60%, depending on how long you're going to be implementing and how much you're going to be training yourself in saying my phrases. Okay, let's go into this one. Each and every conversation you do in your calls should result in, ideally, having a lead in a database. So what does that mean? Majority of agents are only hitting, are you currently selling or trying to rent your property? And in 95% of cases, the person is going to tell you no. So because the agent don't know where to go from here, and if you're one of them, you're probably like, yes, Olga, but why would I need them if they're not selling or renting now? But this is a very kind of short-term thinking strategy. What you need to do, and if you want to be successful in secondary marketing to buy real estate, you have to have a full database of existing owners which agreed to be in a communication with you. In this communication, it's not you're following up, hi, are you selling already? What's going on? No, that's tacky. I hated it. That's why I created a different structure of you delivering the value. But I'm not one of those trainers who's just gonna tell you, deliver the value, and then you're just sitting there just like, value? Olga, how can I deliver the value? How much kgs? I'm gonna explain and show you exactly what you should be doing and what delivering of value means and how to actually deliver it for them to see that this is a value. Okay, so the current and potential and the future client has to be in your database. So each and every good conversation that I promise you will have if you use my script, you put the lead into your database. Then, maybe even from the first call using the strategy that I gave you, you will be able to get a pocket listing. What does it mean, a pocket listing? If you're not in real estate, you probably don't understand that. There's something in my pocket that seems to be good. Yes and no. If you're a new agent and you are just building your listing base, for you, having a pocket listing will result in zero. Meaning, the listing should be online. And you remember I told you, only free agent can list the same property. So if the property is already listed with 3 of them, I'm going to leave you there in the hole without a hope. No, of course, it's a joke. I have a special strategy which going to be a little bit longer to execute now, but I do teach this in my secondary market course. I teach you exactly what to say and what to do to help the seller see you as the only viable option and to ask you actually to become that agent. Well, the conversion from a pocket listing into the actual listing with a document by using my method happens usually on the call, on the second call, or if the second call went well and the owner haven't yet offered you to be the listing agent, he's usually going to text you or call you back in a couple of hours, because sometimes they need a bit of time to digest everything you put as a seed in their brain for them to understand that, Jesus Christ, what I'm going to do without Olga? She is the only agent who can help me to sell. Do you want to have your sellers thinking that way about you? I mean, it's up to you to decide. So, lead into a database, then you create a pocket listing. Pocket listing doesn't mean that you're going to get buyers. For you to get buyers, you have to list it on the portal. So let's imagine you use my methodology and you got the listing. Now it's live. So a listing with the contract A is you are signing the contract with the seller. that he's okay for you to list the property here, and you can see the nice price reduction tag. The conversation about price reduction, and I have a special structure how to do the conversation on the price reduction instead of you proving and convincing the seller with the data from the past transaction, from the area, and from the comparable unit, which he usually going to say, yes, but I want this price. I do have a strategy which gonna, through the right questions, with the right tone, move him to a different concept, and he will ask you to decrease the price himself. Again, from these questions, his answers, you know, my favorite one, gonna convince him from his own mouth to his own ears that actually, for me to be able to sell the property, I have to put the price down. So let's imagine you got this price reduction conversation, and it doesn't mean that you have to reduce the price from the day one. You agreed on him to get back to this conversation maybe in 2 weeks, and this is going to be his choice. And he's going to give you the choice that you actually want. Then you are on the process, which is only 10% of your work. Oh my God, Olga, this is the best one. How I can always be here? Well, you can. This is exactly what I teach. So when you're focusing on the one area, then you're becoming the top listing agent, and you have a lot of leads cooking in your database because you're feeding them with value. Your listing generates you buyers. And if you do not have yet enough units to sell and they want something more, you always can go back to your old good cold call. You do not stop that, by the way. You keep going. But now, when you call to the sellers, you actually do have a client. You actually have someone who will view the property, right? So this is some sort of money-making machine for you, your cash-generating unit that you create in a certain area. Why I'm talking about certain areas? There are a lot of agents gonna come into the market, or maybe you're already one of them. It's like, oh no, I just don't want to be, you know, restricted. I want to be able to sell it downtown and Dubai Marina and, I don't know, Palm Jumeirah. Well, my answer to you is this, and believe me, I was similar in the beginning of my career. Then I understood I'm not making any money. I am traveling from Dubai Marina at 6 p.m. I'm rushing to 6:45 to be in downtown, which is almost impossible with the current traffic, and then I have to find a place to park my car, and I'm always going to be late. And any agent whom my buyer will talk in downtown, he will know about downtown projects, areas, developers, units way more than me, because I'm specializing in marina. So as soon as my buyer going to talk to him, he will understand, nah, I don't want to work with Olga. She doesn't seem like, I like her as a person, but again, like people, your clients, they might like you, but the same, you will choose the doctor to do a very, important operation for your mom, not the one whom you like, but the one who showed you that he is a top-notch professional. Yeah? You remember Dr. House? By the way, my favorite TV series. Yeah, he was not a very pleasant guy, but he was able to solve the problem. And this is how he made money for himself. Let's imagine he's a real estate agent, and for everyone else. So going back to the lead generating machine, only if you will build your blocks, only if you will be able to create leads into the database, right? And over here, I'm going to go to the structure. This is the structure. I'm going to go to the communication in these areas in a moment. But you have to see that your time spent here is a prediction how many dials you've done daily, how many conversations you have with the potential sellers or tenants. It will be the definition of how many deals you will close monthly. I firmly believe that if you want to be successful in secondary market, you should be working as a listing agent, because the listing agent is the one who can actually predict his income, who can grow, who can build up the relationship and have consistent and continuous relationship with the same sellers, who can get better referrals. Because if you're focusing on buyers, you will be spread thin over all of the areas. And as I told you, and any other agent who is specializing in the area where your buyer wants to buy, but this is not your area, he will take this buyer off you. Okay, let's move to the next one. Maybe you will read it and you will get very, very upset at disappointment. Cold calling sellers. Olga, I'm so afraid of rejection. What are you talking about? I'm sweating only when I'm thinking about the cold calling. I'm not confident and I don't know what to say. Okay, so this training is not for you to become confident. I'm not going to boost your ego, which is actually the one who is keeping you unconfident. And is afraid of rejection. It's going to be probably another training. If you want me to do that training, you have to again comment down there and say, oh, Olga, I think I need training for rejection. And then of course you have to follow my channel so you can actually get the notification that I finally released this one. So cold calling with a pattern interrupt. What I'm saying, the most valuable skill for you starting real estate is to sound not like every other salesperson. If you will master it, and that's why I'm giving you all of the scripts, if you will master it, you will already be 50% ahead of any new agent. So, what is the pattern? Yeah, you remember in the beginning of the training, it was like talking about the shopping assistant, it's like, how can I help you today? Or I'm just looking, this is a pattern. So usually the questions that you ask, well, the other agent, on the cold call, hi, Mr. Seller, I am Olga from XYZ Real Estate. How are you today? Where I am teaching, do not ever, on a cold call, on a first call, to ask, how are you? Do you know why? Because asking how are you is the same as, how can I help you today? It's an indication that the stranger, I'm picking up the phone, the stranger is asking me, how am I? He doesn't care. What he does, he's trying to build a rapport. Do you know the fancy word rapport? Yeah, you know, my dad is 72, he doesn't speak English. He does know what rapport means. So this word been around for years and years, starting from, you know, Glengarry, Glen Ross, where there was a scene that one of the sales agents, by the way, they were selling land in US, walking into the house of the potential prospect, a buyer, and he's like, oh, you love fishing, I love fishing. So that's pretending that you have a similar interest to be likable by the other person. It doesn't work, it's been around for years and years. I'm on the other side, being a seller, I do understand what you're trying to do. I immediately get the wall of the sales resistance, I hope you remember this one, and I just want to get you off the phone. So instead of this, instead of the sales resistance, instead of all of the, oh, Jesus Christ, another salesperson, we need to create in the first couple of seconds curiosity. For him, the seller, to be curious. Who is this? What is this about? So when you have curiosity, you do not have resistance. You're curious. So when you're going to be using my pattern interrupt, so the different way of start the conversation, you will create the curiosity. So it might sound like, who is this? What is it about? Don't get scared. That's exactly what you wanted to happen. Agent, that's you. Hi. Name? Hi. Olga? So the upswing, not is this Olga? One more time, guys. I'm writing all of this with neuro-emotional persuasion technique. It's not AI generated. It's not just like me thinking what to say. No, it's a science, behavioral science behind it. So we some sort of conditioning people to feel a certain way, to be open, to respond to us, to create a curiosity. So when someone is calling your name and you don't even recognize the voice and you are somewhere in a crowd, you naturally, it's like, huh? Who's this? You are curious. You're doing exactly this one. Not who is this, not is this, no. Hi, name. And then I have various pattern interrupts. So in the script that you will be able to download in the communication guide, there are going to be several of them. I'm going to read you this. This is Olga. We actually never spoke before, but this is a pattern interrupt. 3 dots indicates that you have to slow down. I'm not sure if it's a right time, but I hope to ask you something really quick. And then you decide, should we continue this conversation or no? Fair enough? One more time, in one go. Because it's just, you know, all of this cadence and pace and my tone is what actually creates a different level of response. It creates a curiosity. What is this about? I never said I'm a real estate agent. Do you see me saying I'm a real estate agent? No, I'm telling him we never actually spoke before. Yeah, that's, I know. Am I curious to talk? I never spoke to you. Yeah, potentially I'm still curious. It's the same way as like, you know, I want to tell you something, but I'm not sure. Should I tell you this, or maybe it's not important? How much You want me to tell you this thing now. Okay, hope you're convinced here. This is just Olga. We never spoke before, and I'm not sure if it's the right time, but I hope to ask you something really quick, and then you decide, should we continue this call or no? Fair enough? The fair enough part is very important because you have to finish majority of the conversation with the client. You have to finish with the question, because this is what engagement is. If you're just like stopping, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have a script. But if you ask him a question, you put the hook, so he's engaging. We are conditioned like that. Fair enough gives him an illusion of he is making his own choice. It's his choice. Will we continue conversation or no? But I know that he's curious. Yes, he is. So he will continue the conversation, but he's going to feel this is his own choice. Agent, have you already sold the property at XYZ? Or he potentially might sniff that you are an agent, but he's still hooked. He's still interested, right? If the client says no, you go into the next one. By the way, you do not have a client at this point. You are just a newbie agent. So this is all lie. Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry, but it's a lie. Yet. When you're going to be going through the process and creating your money-making machine, you will have a client. But it's actually for you, because at the beginning, I do have a different type of scripts. When you are going not for the hunting, you're going for the farming. You don't have to pretend that you have a client. But as a newbie agent, you don't have that confidence yet to not pretend that you have a client. Agent, I'm calling because I have a pre-approved mortgage buyer, and we were about to close the deal, the unit next to you or something which is along the line going, but the deal fall apart. Would you be totally against the idea of having the offer on the property if the price will make sense for you, of course? Would you be totally against the idea? You know why I'm asking it this way? Because what he's going to respond, yes, I'm totally against of the idea. This phrase is pulling the hook. What I'm doing in the cold calls, I'm trying to identify, it's a marketing activity, you know? I'm trying to identify, are you a potential seller or not yet? Are you the owner? So I have to put the hook inside of you. I have to get you curious to respond. And even if you're not actively thinking about selling the property, would you be totally against the idea of having an offer? If, and now I'm taking the word out of your mouth, if the price will make sense for you, of course. Because if I will not put this last phrase, if the price will make sense for you, of course, the seller gonna tell me if the price will make sense for you. So I'm taking this away from him. So what you do after, you created this curiosity, you already rushed through at least 10 to 15 seconds on the cold call, which is the most challenging part, which is the part where most of the sellers gonna go away. And then instead of you answering the seller's question about your client, you could say, look, I'm not sure if yet your property gonna be a right fit, and I just don't want to kind of, you know, put this in a 100% case. What we can do from here, if you like, and I can ask you a couple of questions about your property. Maybe you will send me a couple of pictures of videos, or by the way, are you actively selling right now, or where are you stand? So I'm getting all of this information, getting the pictures, getting the videos, and agreeing on this call to give him a call back as soon as I will go back to my pre-approved mortgage buyer. Why? I'm, by the way, using pre-approved mortgage buyer. If you are outside of Dubai, you do not know that majority of deals actually happening with cash. But the thing about the cash buyers, and most of the sellers know that, the cash buyer always going to try to squeeze lower price. The pre-approve, on the other hand, usually going to be an end user, so they are emotionally attached to the property. They do have, if they already invested themselves and getting the pre-approval and looking around, and as I told him, he almost purchased something, they will have a better, let's say, price adaptation, right? Because they're getting the money from the bank, so they will be able to pay a little bit more. And then they're more serious. I hate to say they're more serious, but this is exactly how it looks like. Over the course of you repeating the same thing over and over again before you actually call to the client, you can role play it with ChatGPT even as well. You have to make absolute sure that you're using the same word patterns. You're not changing it. You're not forgetting to ask fair enough, because the simple follow the structure rule going to help you with getting way more, I would say 50%, as I promised you, more conversation with the potential sellers, transition into the good long-term relationship. So let's finish with this, jump to the next one. Welcome to the off-plan sales process. And if you are now selling secondary and you just think, what's the difference rather than commission, which we already discussed, that in off-plan you are getting the cut of 5 or 6 or 7 or maybe 10%, which is 50% for you, 2.5, maybe 3% in your pocket, compare to the secondary market. So before I'm just going to go through all of these details, because this is a representation of the very different sales process, as you can see, I will give you the idea. The main difference between you having a client in a secondary market where you listed the property for sales or rentals, the client clicked on the ad and became your lead, compared to the off-plan where maybe, he was browsing some website and over there he's seen a very beautiful picture of something, and then he wanted to know a little bit more and agreed to share his cookies, like this nice little bottom text at the window, like, oh, do you want to accept the cookies? And he clicked accept. This is when his data, his name, maybe fake email, maybe even fake phone, was captured by the website and put into your CRM system as a potential lead. Now you feel the difference? So what does it mean? Unfortunately, now the lead generation in Dubai real estate for off-plan project is mainly done through social media or Google AdWords. What I'm talking about? I'm talking about Meta or Google Ads. If it's a Google Ads, there are going to be various websites which pretend to be some sort of, collateral of different projects, which are giving you all the information about Dubai, investment and stuff like this. You click, you're going to fall into the deeper hole and then want to know more information. This is where your data have been captured and give to the agency who purchased this lead. On other side, social media, aka Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook, they do create different campaigns where you're scrolling through the stories and then something showed up and you're like, oh, interesting, I want to know more information, and you click at it. So majority of this advertisement and the leads that you're getting, they are not intent based, they're more interruption based. So I've got interrupted, I'm not even remembering clicking on anything, to be honest, and most time that's what they're going to tell you. I do not remember inputting my data. Again, because of the cookies, the data been captured automatically. So don't get upset when you're going to see the email, which is lollipop 25. And I was like, well, that's a weird female, but that's the email someone has in kind of preset settings in your phone. You check the one you have in your phone, probably is not the main email that you're using. So now let's compare those interruption-based clients who do not remember they click on anything, do not have really a need, potentially looking, considering, to the client who is living most probably already in Dubai in a rental accommodation, or maybe, he owns a property and he's about to sell it. He needs to move into a new one. So the work that he did is he was sitting and thinking, which area should I go? How much time am I left before I will have to give my key to the new owner of the property or to my landlord? So I need to move out. He needs to move out because there is no such a thing in Dubai as like, unless you live in your friend's place, it's like, oh, man, sorry, I couldn't find the property for myself. Can I extend for 1 more month? And 1 more month if it's a rental unit. It doesn't exist. You have a 1-year tenancy contract, and if you decided not to extend it for another year, you have to leave. That's pretty sharp, and you're not going to just stay there. So that means those people, he went into the portal, the Property Finder Bayut. They clicked into the areas, they clicked buy, they selected the property, they selected the unit type, they then scroll from the featured, because they don't want to see the featured ads. Well, yeah, they want to see the lowest possible price. So they click on the lowest possible price. And then over there, they were checking, they were reading, their understanding about the property. And only then they potentially submitted the inquiry, well, probably contacting your WhatsApp, or even some of them have such a high intent that they are calling you. Now, if you think why the leads for the offline are not converting that fast, why it takes me hours and hours calling through the leads who are not interested to actually get someone who is and then convert him into closed deals, that's the reason. And as I love saying this, there is no button which you can just press and good leads will come. There is no button where it's written good leads. I wish I could give it to you, but it doesn't exist. So let's get back. How should I work with those who are potentially interested, are potentially considered, not serious at all, just requested some information? This is a different kind of art, and you have to be an agent who is first way more skilled with your communication and ability to simplify things and explain to your client, because they are coming not as the secondary market buyer who already knows the area, who already knows the unit type, who already understand how the process of renting and selling going to look like. They are complete fresh newbie. Okay, starting from here. This process has been built on exactly what you potentially have, social media leads. When you yourself going into the position of being an offline agent, and again, it's the same as secondary market, it's your responsibility to start building your consistent money-making machine, which I simply replicated there. So you have to track your metrics, which is the dials, how many dials you've done a day, how many leads answered. And then it's good for you to understand, okay, I've been dialing this time and I've been dialing this time. I have a better response rate in that time. And I'm talking not only about the fresh leads, I'm talking about the aged, old, recycled leads, whatever the name will be, but this is going into the off-plan as a new agent. That's exactly what the company is going to give you first. Don't get upset with them. They just want to make money, you know. They are not sure if you as an agent will be able to convert a good, fresh, expensive lead. It's just minimum 250 dirhams per lead. I'm talking about lead, not the answered call, just the lead. And let's be honest, 50% of those leads will never pick up the phone, ever. So you can imagine how expensive it is for your company. So you have to try your metrics. Then meaningful conversation, meaning more than 30 seconds. Next step book. How many next steps you were able to book? Because in my strategy and my sales process for the offline, you always book a meeting from a meeting, meaning not a meeting from a call or from any interaction. You never leave it up to the point, okay, let's talk on the WhatsApp and just arrange. No. That means he will never respond to you. That means you just wasted your own valuable selling time. Conversation conversion to the next step. Yeah? So meaning I had a good conversation and then the next step. How many of good conversation I was able to convert on the next step? And this is very valuable metrics that you then, as someone who is tracking your skills, will be able to, see them growing. So see your conversion rate going from 10 to 15 to 25, which is 25, by the way, is the highest I ever heard in the off-plan lead generation. I'm talking about not conversion to the deals. I'm talking about from the first conversation, 25 we were able to convert into the next step, which is book meeting. So the first call, I'm always gonna advocate for you having a call with a client. Stay with this thought for a bit. When we text, there is no personality, there is no visibility, there is nothing. It's so easy for me as a client to say no, not interested on a text. And it's way harder for me to say no or go someone with whom I had a good conversation with. I do have a lot of extensive training in my course on what if he doesn't respond on the first message, which video message or audio message I should convey, which my own kind of short investor pitch as a video I could record to stand out, because these guys, and again, talking about the offline, they clicked on several ads, many, maybe 10. So that means that at least 25 people, the same time as you, are trying to reach out to them. And they're messaging, hey, Mr. Client, that's Olga here from XYZ company. Are you interested to invest? Question mark. He's like, oh, no, block immediately. So the first call is very important. That's why I'm always saying, be creative. You, being a sales agent in Dubai real estate, should have at least 2 different numbers. I'm so sorry if you're a client watching this, but we're here trying to help you. What I mean to different numbers. So one number is for you to call the client 2 times, morning and evening, and one number is for you to call him in afternoon. So you don't want to look like a stalker, but you have to get hold of the client. So that's why you plan your interaction with the client in a way that you call him first, even before you're going to send him a first message. On the first call, and I do have a script on it, and I'm just going to share a couple of bips and bobs on how from the first call you can create this urgency in him to buy. Do not forget, I'm going to go back to this. These leads, they were just browsing. Very rarely they are in position, I need this. That's your job to bring them here. So what attracted their attention on the first call you're asking them? And my favorite question on that is like, when you saw the ad, like besides the shiny computer graphics of Dubai, what was about the project that attracted you to respond? Here, answering this question, you're going to tell to himself, not you, which is you is important, but himself is the most important, because remember, from the mouth to the own ears, they have to keep selling to themselves. They're going to believe themselves more, way more than believe you. What is the problem? Remember, the problem is what they're trying to solve, the decision-making funnel. You still remember it. It was maybe like 40 minutes ago I was talking about this. The decision-making funnel, they're trying to solve the problem. Which problem do they have? But because this problem has actually triggered them to even start looking, even start browsing on it. And you book a next step. Amazing. The book a next step in my sales process is an educational video call. Why I'm saying video call? Of course, if the client is in Dubai, which is a very rare case nowadays, and he wants to meet you face to face, which is a very rare case nowadays as well, then fantastic, you want it. But usually they're going to be very hesitant to do that. So the easiest step is to book them into the video call. Between your first call and the video call, you're sending them not a brochures, not just options, not different projects. Why? Because you don't know, you haven't done a full qualification here yet. How do you even know what to send him? Because look, if he registered about a certain project, does that mean that he wants to buy this exact project? Of course no. Based on what? Like the small picture of the project you've seen? This is, if you believe that, that means that you believe if you're going to the doctor appointment and you're telling to your doctor, I need you to prescribe me X and Y and Z, that you have more knowledge than the doctor who was in a medical school for good 6 years, and then he was being an intern and practicing, it was like 15 years of practice, and you just know that, like, what, you need to be prescribed this? So they are the same. They think they know, but they don't. So instead of sending them, which each and every other 25, which in this round with you, gonna send him a case study. And when I'm saying a case study, it's my internal terminology with you, a case study. But realistically, the way I present it to the client is an investment performance report from some of my past clients who purchased some time ago, 3-4 years ago. They still do have a property, and this is what I'm doing for them quarterly or every 6 months, sending them how the property performs and give them some recommendation based on, will they wish to exit? Will they wish to hold it? Will they wish to maybe go short-term and long-term? So they can always stay ahead of any market trends. And that was a script, by the way. One of the scripts which are inside my online course. So basically you hook him with the last question. Would that be useful if you had something like this for yourself, just to see, instead of all of these brochures, you know, and Excel files with the numbers and the locations, there's something what was really happening and how the person who was just like you were able to make money. Would that be useful if we will do that? So you're sending him the couple of case studies which are relevant to him. That means that you have to prepare them in advance. That means that, you know, you have a breakdown of one bedroom, two bedroom with a different budget, 3-bedroom townhouses, and for each and every project that your company advertise and you obviously getting leads for that, you have your own case studies. It should look like, I do have a template and you can receive it, of course. But for that, you have to leave the comment to this video so I can give it to you personally. So you will use it with the higher value for yourself. Okay, case study that you send them. Then you, on the first call, when you book a meeting, you told them that you're going to remind them about the meeting. And you used my favorite, yeah, you see I'm drinking, I want you to hold a little bit on that. My favorite script part for them to have such a great value of this meeting for themselves, so they show up, rates goes dramatically high. When I'm giving this, let's say, follow-up sequence for the agents, they report that from basically maybe 10 to 15% actually show up to a meeting, they go to up 60% people showing up to the same exact meeting, nothing changes. So when you finish your first call, you're saying something like this. Good first call, thank you so much. So we agreed to meet on XYZ and ABC. You know, one more thing, just because I will be showing you some, you know, platforms, some data, it would be very useful for you if you will be on the laptop. Could you do that? And would that be possible if you kind of, you know, be in a place where you can actually hear me and you can be focused? Yeah, well, really appreciate people working from anywhere, just like to make sure that no one's going to take your attention away from this valuable information, because you definitely would not want to miss it. Can we agree on that? Boom. Then the next thing. And before I go, can I ask you about something? And you wait for him to say yes. Your next phrase. I know that the life got busy, you know, we all live in this world. Can I expect from you? I'm going to repeat it one more time because you have to say it exactly like this. Can I expect from you, if everything will change on your end, you kind of give me a hands up, send me a message, maybe call, maybe a pigeon, so I can book you to my next available slot and rebook this one with another client. Can I expect from you? And this is my final hook. And he's going to say yes. Consistency and commitment, one of the pillars of influence. We all as a human being want to be seen as a consistent with our commitment. You just took his commitment. So now he will, I'm not saying 100%, it's just nothing 100%. What if but something going to happen to him in a good way? He won $1 trillion. He doesn't need any investment anymore. So anyway, use this sequence. Can I expect from you? I hope you got it. If you want more of this, you know, small little tricks and the full system with additional kind of do not fall from the system help, you have to go into my coaching or my course, or at least have an individual session with me. That's only the way for me to help you, really. So the first meeting, and I'm going to tell you, it's educational, meaning I'm not going to sell my client anything. I'm not going to pitch any project at this stage. I know it sounds shocking to you because your manager probably told you, yes, give me this latest launch of the mug. This is what he has to buy. No, he will not buy it because he yet do not see the value for himself at all. It might be the best project. It might be true, but he's blind to it. So here, for all of the structures that created in my first meeting, you will be able to help him see how valuable the buy investment is, how much money he will be able to make, and, which is most important, you will make him believe that he is able, with the knowledge that he got from your educational meeting, to make his own decision on which is the best property for him. Because you remember what we are going against, the fear of making their own decision, because he simply doesn't believe in his own ability to make a right one, because he doesn't know much. And this is almost the half or full life savings. So if you have a lot of people falling off after your first meeting, probably doing something wrong over there. If they're going, I need to think about it, I need to recalculate, that means you haven't created the clarity, you haven't walked them through the process of understanding. The problem is the budget, the time frame, you haven't cleared up the past experience, which is lots of fear there, and what the ideal scenario will look like for them. And again, what if? That's a very valuable part. What if they're not going to do anything about it? If they're not going to take this opportunity? And the life stays exactly the same as it now. It should be pretty bad for them, right? Because if I will buy this, if I will not buy this, nothing going to change. What's the point for me to even spend money? Okay, on the first meeting, you will have to pre-handle objection. Olga, what are you talking about? Pre-handling objection? What does that even mean? I never even heard this terminology. Like, I know handle objection, but pre-handling, well, pre-handling is what I teach specifically and what going to make you a lot of more money. If instead of waiting till end when you presented a different project and then they start throwing objection at you, you pre-handle all of them. My favorite one, I'm just going to give you a couple, is, and what makes you feel that, you know, looking at Dubai as a potential investment opportunity for you is the right move? And what makes you feel that looking at Dubai now is the right move? So that's the last one for him to create urgency for himself, right? And then the other one that's similar. I have a lot of this in my pocket. And what makes you feel that moving your kind of attention and potentially looking at investing in Dubai now is the right move, rather than maybe keep investing in your own country? It's all based on the answers that he's going to give you, right? And he might think that there's going to be a project presentation, it's going to be you walking him through, and it's going to be there. In my first Zoom, I definitely do investor area tour. I definitely talk about legislation. I'm talking about the project a bit, different developers. But my main goal is to qualify him, because I do not know yet what to offer and what he's able to afford. And I don't want him to feel like he doesn't have much money, or whatever I'm offering is not up his standards. Pre-handling objection, qualification questions, which I already told you, it's the problem that he has or need, whatever you call it. Decision-making process, his budget, the various questions about the budget, it's very important. Past experience, yeah, and the decision-making process is not like, who is the one to make decision? Because he's gonna tell you it's me, which is not true anyway. My favorite question, and I'm gonna give you a couple of my favorites in this, is, and what does the decision process look like for you? Or what does the decision process looks like for your family, if he is with a family, when it comes to buying a property abroad? And he gonna potentially push back saying, oh yeah, it's just me who's make decision. I was like, yeah, it's not what I was actually asking. I was more about like, what should happen, you know, in terms of the documents that you have to review, maybe ask some opinions, like what is the process of you finally saying, yes, that might be a right property. Because I need him to give me all of this defragmentation, because guess what? He might start talking about the friend who purchased the property in Dubai, or his cousin in Netherlands who is a property mogul in Netherlands. I need to either bring those people who are somehow in charge into my next meeting, or demolish their authority in his mind, because they're going to be always a triggering. Yeah, there is a process for kind of, I don't want to say killing authority, demolishing their authority as well. Because really, if I have a brother who never invested in a property himself, is a working class, doesn't have much money, what's the point of me taking advice from him rather than just informing him that this is what I'm going to do? There is no point. And the clients, they don't think that way, right? But we know that that's actually harmful for them to take advice from someone who is not successful in the area he's going to give you advice about. And then you do Dubai map investment process. Dubai map investment process, where I'm just reading it. And market data. I love using some tools which are not available for just outsiders. I don't like using DXB Interact. Nothing against it, it's a good tool, but the client can use it himself. So it's very important that your company you're working with, they do have either Rating or Property Monitor, which is a tool actually officially used by the property evaluators and banks when they are doing the decision and evaluating the property for the mortgage or stuff like this. And then, if you got everything, you book a sales call next. On the sales call, you're actually doing the presentation of the project. And the way you're doing the presentation is, remember how you said that XYZ and ABC is important. So in the project of, let's say, Damak or Imar, it's exactly what is included, and it's exactly what the main focus is. Because you can do X, Y, Z, and A, B, and that this is the structure you're telling. Presentation shouldn't be long. It should be simple and understandable. One more trick, which has been given to me, if you're working with the end user who is interested to buy an off-plan property, there are hundreds of projects. For example, he usually knows the area he wants to invest because it's an end user. He understands that I need to live there, so potentially the schools, my office, or my favorite coffee shop, the mall, should be there. You can sit down with him and even online draw a plan, a floor plan of his unit. How does he want the kitchen to look like? How does he want the balcony to look like? An approximate, maybe even several. Then you can put it in ChatGPT to get like a proper drawing. And then, if you were dealing in an off-plan, your company definitely added you to 100,000 groups with different developers. So what you can do is you can put them to work for you. You send this floor plan, you talk about the area, and you're asking them, do you have anything like this available? Which is gonna save you hours and hours of looking for the things yourself. Either you can do that, but the probability of you finding them exact unit, can you imagine? They just draw it with you. And then you're coming into your sales call and you're showing them, this is exactly similar to what we draw, and this is a project and that is a project. Do you think this client will ever want to work with any other agent? And now we're going to end this fantastic presentation. As I told you, the first call is the most important thing. This is where all of your efforts will fall apart, and despite how good you know the project developers and everything else, if you are not executing the first call correctly, you will not have a second opportunity with this client. So the first thing that you have to ask, what was about the ad that attracted your attention? What was about the ad that attracted your attention? The tone, cadence is very important, because if I will do it like this, and what was about the ad that attracted your attention? You're going to have a different response, right? You feel it already now. What is your, if you're going to tell you, I do not remember the ad, please. And I had to add it to my training because I've heard after on the call recordings of my coaching clients that they start basically pressuring the client. No, but that was the ad with this building and that lake and that sea, and the client is like, no, but I don't remember it. Please do not do this. What you're actually asking, instead of what was about the ad that attracted your attention, you are asking him the question, and what is your overall goal with this investment? I'm going to do it one more time. And what is your overall goal with this investment? Sounds conversational, not scripted. This is exactly the same way as all of my script business built. You feel yourself like you are Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie, and you've been paid $1 million because you are able to execute, ask the questions in the right tone, the right cadence, and get a different level of response. That's why I am not stressing enough on how important it is to learn the question first before you're gonna jump on a call and execute. You have to be able to wake yourself at night and repeat all the questions with the right cadence. Reading the script not gonna give you the same results. It's gonna be better than what you're doing probably now, but it's still not the best. Have you been looking for some time already? Have you seen anything you like? Because I need to understand what he likes, right? Yes, right, Olga. But the most important is for him to understand what he likes. Because probably at this point of time, he never sit himself down and write, oh, this is what I like, this is I don't like. You are, with your questions, helping him to realize for himself what is the most important things, what are the criteria, why he will choose the property, and how this potentially going to change his life. What did you like about it? Probing and clarifying. Why is this important? If he told you he liked this, I like the view, and why the view is important for you. Because we literally can dig deeper for him to understand. I was like, well, that's actually not that important, right? Because how many times you have a client who is coming to you with a budget which is way higher than he needs, but the actual market price for that type of unit is 2 million dirhams, and he's telling you, oh, I'm ready to pay 4. Not that many times, right? Probably 0. It's always the opposite way. So if it's an opposite way, we have to help them understand which kind of function, which kind of bips and bobs from their desirable, ideal picture we can take out without paying, and they will still love the property. Do you have any properties already generating a passive income for you? Or what kind of investment do you have? You see, you was expecting, you can end it all. Or it's going to be your first one. Or what kind of investments do you have? Because I want to understand, is this guy at all been thinking about generating passive income? If he has a different investment, then is it a property? Is it not a property? Because if it's not a property, or is a property in his own country, then I will have to build my objection pre-handling based on, but why to look at Dubai now? Why not to just keep doing more of the investment that he's already does? It's a dangerous question, but objection pre-handling is designed for them to handle their own objection. In this conversation, they're probably going to tell you, no, I cannot do that, just like the taxation is very high, and back then I had this beautiful opportunity that I was buying it really cheap, and I don't think it's ever going to go back. Okay, so you literally cannot replicate that success anymore. He's like, no. Okay, so that's never going to be an objection, because if you're not going to clear this up in his head, first of all, he might, in the end of your whole sales process, on the sales call, he can tell you, oh, you know what, I'm really thinking maybe I should go and buy that property in my own country again, like, I'll look at my own country. Maybe it's a good decision. Can you imagine? It's going to be hard to handle it back then. Okay. When you potentially like to start making money? This is my favorite question instead of when do you want to invest, because surprise, surprise, invest in your head as well is equal to spend money. But if you're going to ask, when are you potentially like to start making money, then no one's going to tell you, oh, you know what, I'm not in a hurry. Not in a hurry to make money at all. I'm looking for the best possible option with the cheapest possible. Of course, he's like, yeah, well, yesterday. How can I start doing it yesterday? Okay, let's move to the next one. Transition into scheduling a presentation, because I have to give you this meat. Because if you don't know how to schedule a presentation, or you're using the, Mr. Client, we need to have a Zoom call so I can show you X and Y and Z, and he's just on the other side already. I need to have a Zoom call with you. So it's like about me as a client. I don't need to have a Zoom call. So you're basically asking me when I can have a free time to help you to try to sell me something. I don't want to do that. That's why my transition to presentation is completely different. Your goal, oh, I'm here. Your goal for all of this process is help him understand that he doesn't have enough of knowledge, information, expertise, and the only way he can answer his questions that you help him understand he has is to be on a meeting with you. Of course, all of how to do that is composed in my course. I cannot just really in 5 or 6 minutes explain that all to you, right? But I can give you the best possible parts. So you got a bit of information. You understand that the person is actually with some money, that he's potentially looking, that seems like a decision maker, right? So I don't want to have a non-decision makers on my call. I'm starting with this. Look, I understand that you have been in Dubai, and you can plug in whatever situation of your client is. Even if he have been in Dubai or never been in Dubai or living in Dubai, it realistically doesn't matter. I understand you have been in Dubai and potentially have your own perspective on the market. And how confident do you feel about being able to identify the best opportunities, the best investment, not based on what the other agents are telling you about that 7, 15 or guaranteed ROI, but on the actual market data, the sales and rental transaction for the past, like 3-4 years in that area, and the future projection of the government, which increase the prices if the infrastructure is going to be developed further. How confident do you feel that you will be able to do that? Question. Boom. Or another one, you can start with this. I understand that you've never been in Dubai, but you can still potentially have your understanding of the market. And has anyone kind of set you down and walk you through the whole process from the putting initial deposit and to paying the full installments, the construction, then the handover process, which additional documents and let's say financial investments you will have to do at that point, and then how the process will be different if you will decide to sell during the construction or if you will go to the selling before the construction, before the last installment. You add on the things that he really doesn't know. And finally, all of this. And you can add on in terms of legislation and all of the different changes that Dubai government is doing on the yearly basis. Have anyone kind of walk you through that process? Or he going to tell you? No. In this phrase, again, native emotion persuasion technique, you remember that's what I do. Has anyone kind of set you down? Why I'm saying it this way? And why, one more time, I'm telling you, you have to memorize my brain surgery technique till the point that you will be able to create your own. I'm directing your thought process. When I'm telling you, have anyone set you down, in your mind, you see yourself sitting down with someone and having a conversation. And the reality, if you ask those type of questions from the agents, that was over the phone, the agents was rushing and telling you a bunch of nonsense, which you, as a client, were not able to kind of put together in your mind because it's way too much information, right? It's the same as I'm trying to teach you a brain surgery on the phone, like how effective that going to be? I don't know, maybe very effective with you, but 99.99999% of people will be lost. That's exactly what you need. You want him to feel lost. You want him to feel that he doesn't understand in depth. You want him to feel that without you, he can make your own choice, lose money, being trapped by other agents who are just sending him the best possible option, acting with a commission breath. And you are now giving him a value. So if you ever wonder how the value looks like, it's a clean representation of 1 kg of value. But value doesn't have any measurements, right? So it's you to decide. Or maybe you can even put in the comments down below how valuable or less valuable this training was for you. So we're done with our training. If you stuck till the end, like, good for you. I will attach the communication guide because I don't know, you tell me, have you ever seen anything of that, like detailed, customized for secondary offline training on YouTube? And if you didn't, I think it's a good start for you to learn more. I have a lot of free materials, and of course, it's up to you to decide if you want to get a completely different speed in your earning and join my online academy. Meanwhile, it was a pleasure to see you here and see you in the next one. Yes, if you want, again, it's up to you to decide. Subscribe and click a like and leave a comment. What was the most valuable for you? And then, see you in the next one.